At least I don't scream like an animal.
It's like the best fictional I've ever seen. It's Paternal Twins. Oh yes, and they did it like Canada. I